United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning to everyone. Welcome to the special meeting. We got a few items on the agenda that we'll go ahead on and take care of real quick. Mr. Hammond, you are up with the St. Joseph Peninsula Beach Nourishment.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Sherry is actually going to explain this. This is a positive thing, a little more money.
Yes, sir. We have received the grant amendment for the funding. It's 100% funding. It does offer us the advance pay option for the section of beach for the state that we are adding to the beach renourishment grant. So this is just an amendment to add that additional $2 million in funding that I need your approval on and permission for the chairman to sign.
All right, I entertain a motion that we accept.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner McCrone,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion on this? Anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right. Any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, RFQ.
Mr. Chairman, number 2 in your packet.
Yes, sir.
We received RFQs for heating, ventilation, air conditioning service providers. We had 3 respondents. Our recommendation would be to accept all 3 as the county would need. It would be Philco Mechanical Services, GW Services and Heating, Miller Heating and Air.
Okay, all right. I entertain a motion that we accept.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rich,
Second.
second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any further board discussion on this? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion?
I abstain, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You need to put it, you need to say why.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just the form will be filled out and state for the record, and I discussed with the commissioner, with Philco having an employment relationship with that, so that's why he's abstaining.
Okay, all right. All right. Motion passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. All right, item C, state infrastructure.
Mr. Chairman, we received $900,000 state appropriation through DEO for infrastructure in the county tied to Hurricane Michael. I need you to approve us to accept that and to go through the procedures to implement that grant, and also to prioritize 2 items. We can change this at the future and add, but our first 2 priorities would be the transfer station, and I would like you to set aside $500,000 for that out of that grant, and another ambulance. And I would like you to set aside $180,000 for that with equipment.
All right, I entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion on this? Do we need to break this up into 2 motions or just 1 motion to
Just one fine.
take care of it? Okay. All right, any further board discussion? Anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0.
And Sherry may have just a little bit of input on how this is going to work. We
Okay.
don't have all the rules yet.
Getting along. We have received notice from DEO that it will be funded through a grant through their program. They are working on getting those draft agreements out as quickly as possible. We've already contacted them and let them know our situation. We won't know all the details until we at least receive that draft grant agreement. The work period will start July 1st, though. So we are working with them in the priority of the transfer station. As soon as we are able to, we hope to have that scope, those 2 initial scope of works written and turned in. So we will need the chairman to sign those documents as they come about. Basically, it will be a master grant agreement with individual scope of works from, as best we can tell, which is similar to how we're operating our Hurricane Michael FEMA grant.
Okay.
So we will need chairman's signature as those scope of works and finalizing those agreements come about, if you can add that approval as well.
Okay, all right. All right, entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rogers,
Second.
second by Commissioner McCrone. Any further board discussion on this? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? Any opposition to that motion? All right, motion passes 5-0.
The last thing I would have on that at the moment, as soon as we do get that documentation and get that filed, give Houston permission to advertise for an ambulance. It may be several weeks on that, but to move forward with that at that time,
Need approval for that?
please.
All right.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Rich. Any further board discussion on advertising for this ambulance? All right, anyone in the public? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, pages 3 and 4 in your packet. This is an invoice from Horn for services rendered from October 29th, 2018 to February 28th, 2019. The bill is for $204,602.29. We had a not-to-exceed contract with them for $150,000. My recommendation, the board approve to pay $150,000 to Horn.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rich. Any further board discussion on this?
Michael, is this reimbursable?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, any further board discussion? Anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0. Hold on, hold. All right. Ms. Rhodes,
I will handle this one
you're
as
gonna
well.
take care, okay, okay.
We had a last-minute request for a grant application that did not allow us to request board approval prior to submitting that application. So we are requesting that the board ratify the application for an extension grant. This is for, it's a Viva Florida grant. This is for landscaping at the sheriff's office, the 2 extension offices, and Dead Lakes. That deadline was June 30th. So I just need your approval as a ratification for that grant application.
Okay,
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
all right, got a motion by Commissioner McCrone,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion on moving forward with this grant? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public on this grant? All right, any opposition to the motion?
Mr. Chairman, just some additional
Okay.
information on that I forgot to state.
Okay, all right, well, let's back up then. Okay, go ahead, you got
The
the floor.
grant amount, for your information, it's only a $3,000 grant. It does have a match, which would be equal to the grant amount or more. So we are looking at a little over a $3,000 match that we are going to meet with in-kind volunteer hours.
Okay, all right, you fine with that?
I'm fine.
Okay, all right. So this motion stands. Any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0. All right, beach maintenance, that's you, Mr. McCrone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to talk a little bit about we get the rake over how many times a year, Michael? The beach rake probably four or five times, and have some issues with the timing on when the guy starts, and he has a limited time for him to finish before people are on the beach. Just want to get that, cleared up as far as him coming, and when they need to, sweep the beach, the turtle people do before the rake gets on. But if we get Billy to come up, he kind of handles, that.
Mr. Quinn, thank you, appreciate it.
Yes,
being
sir.
here. The issue that we have is, and we go through this just about every year, is that right now we have a heavier influx, and I think the sheriff can relate to this year than any year we've ever had as far as people on our beaches. And it's I've never seen anything quite like it. But then again, there's no Mexico Beach, so everybody's coming down to our beaches and so forth, which is a good thing. The issue that we have right now is we do the beach cleanup in Port St. Joe, Indian Pass, and those areas and so forth. Have no problems at Indian Pass or anything like that. The person that comes over has been doing this for many, many years, very good at this, beach cleaning. The issue that he has is he'll leave from his house at 3:30 in the morning and come over here and get ready, and at daylight, he needs to be on the beach. Now, the problem is the turtle people won't let us on the beach. Stopped him. Matter of fact, this Saturday, stopped him at daylight. He was ready to go. And you say, well, why do you need to be there at daylight ready to go? Because with that heavy piece of equipment and that rake, we need to be on the beach and be out there cleaning that beach. Because if our priority is safety, because after about 10:30, 11 o'clock, that beach is full again with people. And the only thing that we want to do is get him out there as quick as possible. Now, if you think about it, our beach turtle season is like 6 months. That's 180 days. I've asked them in the past, why can't you start in Gulf County 5 or 6 of those days out of that 180 and help us out with our beach cleaning and so forth? But they've always said we always start in Bay County. So Bay County gets 175 times they get to start at the end of their beaches there, while we wait on them at 9 o'clock. Do you know where I'm getting with this right here? We're waiting them on 9 o'clock. We can't wait on them at 9 o'clock. I mean, first of all, the people that we have on our staff, myself, Mario, Patrick, and everything like this, we've been doing this turtle stuff for years. Bragging on ourselves a little bit, we're pretty good at it now. I mean, we know what a turtle track is. So and if we run over it with a 8-inch tire, you're still gonna have a turtle track there that anybody can plainly see. This is the only beach that we have an issue with. But the bottom line is, and anybody in business, Mr. McCrone, Mr. Rich, you guys, everybody's been in business here, our number one priority is safety. And we don't want those tractors out there really past 12 o'clock because there's so many people out there. You don't want a big tractor going 5 feet from somebody laying on the beach and so forth like that. Now, my suggestion, and I've suggested this, is that we send Ms. Sales and them a notice saying that, listen, he's gonna be here like next Saturday, he's gonna be here again. And he needs to be on that beach at daylight. And we'll be out there as well. I'll be out there as far as that. But the bottom line is that he needs to get the beach clean, get it cleaned, and get out of there. And we can't do that waiting at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to release him to do that. I mean, that just doesn't work. So we got to make a decision where it's safety. I mean, there's never been a turtle that's been run over. There's never been anything that's bad happen out there. Nothing that I know of and so forth. We've been accused of it several times, and they've had to back up and say, we apologize. But we've never done anything that's even remotely that's hurt the turtle as far as that. And we're not planning on it. We have a good relationship with Ms. Reinhardt, Jessica Swindell, and those people. But it's the board's decision. If you want me to have him sit there and wait to 8 or 9 o'clock before he starts, we'll do it. But it's just not. I think Mr. McCrone and I talked about it, Mr. Rogers and I talked about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me that we should do this. I mean, it's in the board's hands, whatever you wish me to do. But we need to be out there, I think, at daybreak and do our job, and then get off the beach out of these people's way. Does that make sense?
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Traylor, you're talking primarily Beacon Hill and St. Joe Beach. Is that where
That's
the little
correct.
rub is? But I heard you prior say that no problem with Indian Pass or
Don't have a bit of
the Cape there.
The person that's doing the raking has been doing this a long time. He knows, especially the people in the Indian Pass area and those people. Jessica knows him. I'd call him what I call a very turtle-friendly person that knows what he's doing, who actually would get out, he gets out and he'll mark it if he sees it. But here, the thing about it is, a turtle track's that wide, most of them. It's not like everybody's worried about, erasing the turtle track coming up there. Our turtle track's that wide. It's usually 30 to 40 yards from the dunes to the water. So it's not like you're gonna wipe it out, driving across it and so forth. He wants to do his job. We ask him to come out. Sometimes we ask him to come out more if there's red tide and help us out and so forth, that kind of type thing. But, we're only asking for 5 or 6 times a year to do this. And to start, and the easy thing would be for them to do would be just start on Gulf County's end, Gulf County's line, and say, hey, we're gonna start down there at, 7 o'clock that morning and work your, 3.5 miles, 4 miles? And they can do that really and truly. No more turtles than we have nesting there. Should be able to do that in 30, 45 minutes, and then everybody's happy.
If we know the tractor's coming, we could contact the turtle people, get Kelly and give them proper notice that they need to have that beach swept, early, where he can do his job, because once it gets 11 or 12 o'clock, he's got to be off that beach. That's so many people. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, like I say, I would say just contact the turtle folks and let them know, say, hey,
I would give her plenty of notice. We can give her
Right.
plenty of notice. Ms. Kelly and I have talked about it. We'll give him plenty of notice. I know when he's coming, like next Saturday, he'll be next Saturday. We'll give him notice that, it's just working with us 4 or 5 times a year, really,
Right.
too. That's all it is.
It's
That's all
not,
we're
it's
asking.
not like we're doing it every day.
Exactly. That's right.
Yep.
yeah. So, yeah,
Need a motion?
I don't think we need to,
If I can get just consider the board to do that, to notify them that if it's
Absolutely.
all right with the board's permission to do that.
okay, all right, I entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rich. Any further board discussion on this? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion? All right, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Hammond?
Item G, the transfer station, I brought this up, but I don't think I got permission to. Because of the time, I'm requesting you waive your bid rules, declare an emergency, and allow me to go out and procure the materials for this transfer station under the emergency bid procedure. We have a deadline of about 80 days, so we want to order the building today, and we'll be doing a lot of the stuff in-house, the concrete work and whatnot, but I'd like you to waive those procedures where we can do that.
Okay. All right, I entertain
Mr.
a
Chairman,
motion.
I move motion to waive the procedure.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner McCrone. All right, any further board discussion on this? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, number 6 in your packet, I'd recommend the board approve this.
All right. You gonna speak on anything on it?
It's to support the Dixie youth going to the state tournament.
Okay, all right. I got no problem with it.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Second. All right, motion by Commissioner McCrone, second by Commissioner Rich. All right, any further board discussion on this?
Over here, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hammond, are we opening the door here for baseball teams, football teams? That's my big concern. I know, I like to help people. I'm willing, $500, I'll throw $100 in or right off my hip to cover. But I don't know. Is this not setting a precedent here?
Each one of these are
Have we-
individual decisions of the board, but we have weaned off of that over the last 5 or 6 years. The board's helped with the rings and helped with different things with the teams, but this is a little bit different because it's not school-based, so they don't have a government funding source for this type deal, but just the wishes of the board, I would say we would take them on a case-by-case basis.
That's my only concern. Are we opening the door? Because if we do for one, we've got to do for all. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I just wanted to raise that question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll do whatever y'all want to do. I mean, I don't, in the past, had a lot of teams come through there and we supported, but if you don't want to go down that road, Mr. McLemore, I'll give $100 also, if you, so that'd be y'all, but.
All right. Let me, since we discussed it, I remember in times past, and this before I was on the board, years ago, I guess they used to have a fund here at the county. I always remember Mr. Peters used to always bring us a check to the school, but that was toward the school, to help with the school. if it's, I mean, like I said, a couple dollars here and there, I mean, can go a long way when you're dealing with these. Because basically these kids, like I said, these kids come from our community. So, I mean, a dollar here and there goes a long way. So I'm in support of anything we can do to help the families out there. That's gonna be, and to help the teens out basically, because these, like I say, it's for the kids, and anything that I can do to help the kids, heck, I'm on board with that. So, I mean, but it's the wishes of the board. We're gonna move forward with it.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes, ma'am.
add to that as clerk? We have had concerns about this, and we stopped it. I would be glad to collect from each one of you and submit it, and I will even be glad to donate myself. But I do have concerns with donating to a specific team and it meeting a public purpose overall. Yes, we have done that in the past, and you know, just talking to auditors and, you know, I have concerns that it would get out of hand again. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was coming up, or I would have been better prepared.
Mr. Chairman, if I can also, to the clerk's point, I haven't had an opportunity to review it, but I know the precedent has been set. I know there's public purposes that have been stated in the past. So not to contradict the clerk, but I know the county has done it, and they have established public purpose being served in the past. So I'd be happy to look at it going forward in the future, regardless of your decision today. But to, again, not to contradict the clerk, but there has been public purposes established in the past when you have voted to give money to youth leagues throughout the county.
Okay, all right. All right.
Now, we've got a motion and a second. Is that correct,
So,
Mr. Chairman?
let's continue discussing it then, since we got a motion and we got a second. Since
Well,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
each of us have the opportunity to donate either or sponsor. And I'm one of the people that get the opportunity to support elementary school, high school programs, and even these, the Dixie Youth softball and the baseball. And they're out there raising money, and I understand that they travel every year, and they know in advance, you know, a year in advance, somebody's going to the tournament, you know. And the only thing is how far they get to go and how much they're gonna spend. But anyway, I guess,
Well, no, I got a suggestion.
it's easy to give away money. It is, and sit up here and, but I'm like, Mr. Phil, Mr. McDaniel. We have the opportunity to donate. We can donate personally or through our business. So, maybe we don't need to donate, you know, the taxpayers' money on this case here. We'll just donate individually and, move forward.
All right, I mean, all right, so let's do this then. Since Mr. McDaniel said he gonna donate, we can get $500 from each, $100 from each commissioner. There we go. We get $500.
I'm fine with that.
And the clerk says she
Yeah.
gonna chip in too.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
So there we go. So then we can make it work.
I'm all for it.
Y'all are, okay, all right. There you go. We got a solution.
We need to do away with the
Yeah, so we
motion and the
need,
second.
Mr. McDaniel to pull his motion.
Oh,
I mean,
that was
Mr.
mine.
McCrone.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
McCrone,
that's
I'm
fine,
sorry.
that's fine,
McCrone,
I'm good with that.
Okay, all right. All right, so make sure you get your money to the clerk. We're gonna get it to the clerk. She gonna write the check for us. All right. All
Sounds
right,
good, thank you.
all right, Mr. Hammond, you still have the floor.
Did we withdraw and do all what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, we withdraw.
Okay. I apologize for that. I didn't have the authorization to sign that, so I'm glad we brought it to the board. Page 7 and 8 is a request for a speed limit change. We would have to write a letter to DOT requesting this. I have no objection to this, but just whatever the board wishes. Would basically be extending the current 45 zone. It's questionable whether it's in the city of Port St. Joe or not. The right side of the road, or part of it, is in the city of Port St. Joe. The left side's in the county, but it would be about, I would say about 2,000 feet east.
So you're talking about from right in front of Sunset Village right there?
That's correct. Pine Street, basically back to past the
I'm gonna tell you
entrance.
something, it's so congested. If you get somebody
No
going
doubt.
through there now that's 30, 40 miles an hour.
I agree.
It is a train going to town. I think you're slowing it down even more. It's gonna make
To
it
put it-
worse. I really do. I'm not in favor of it. I just, I'm gonna tell you, it's so congested. If you get somebody going 30, 40 miles an hour in that area through Windmark, you'll get 30, 40 cars backed up all the way to town. And once they get to town, it is so congested. There's no separation because I'm not for it.
So what the speed limit now is?
55.
55.
I would gander to say, and that's what we'll do, I would gander to say, in the event that we do put that crosswalk there, they'll drop it much lower than that. Of course, at some juncture, they're gonna move the road, which alleviates some of that traffic. But I agree, you really can't pass from St. Joe to Tyndall. So,
All right.
Jimmy?
You can't pass from Cape Sandblast to the other side of Mexico Beach is what it turns into. It turns into a real, and, that does speed up and separate a little bit right there. And I don't know, DOT does a real good job of doing studies and knows what can and can't be done. I kind of agree with Mr. McCrone.
okay. South Gulf County Fire Department has requested that they are ready to start doing some jaws of life response for wrecks and extrications, and they want to be put on that list. I think we had somebody from the fire
I
department.
think Vince just stepped out.
He did step out?
Yeah.
Okay. If the board does not have an objection to that, we will proceed, notify the sheriff's office to start dispatching them in those
They've
calls.
got them a new truck and, went and got quite a bit of training, and so they're ready to tackle this thing.
Okay, if he wants to talk when he comes back, that'd be fine, if that's good. We got Jason here, we can get a garbage update. I know we had some hiccups with the transfer station in the last couple of weeks, and Waste Pro has finished their removal, and we'll be in the process of getting that built in the next 80 days. But if he wants to give an update on the garbage situation, I think there's been a little confusion, especially in the tourist corridor. You don't get twice-a-week pickup unless you pay for twice-a-week pickup. And, that we had some calls that, well, they skipped me, they picked up my neighbors and skipped me, and, well, your neighbor's paying for Saturday pickup and you're not, type deal. So I think if Jason wants to come give an update where we are.
Yeah, come on up, Jason. Let's see. State your name, who you represent for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Jason Tennell, BCC. So, he pretty much gave the update. I mean, we're changing, people have gotten into some routines that aren't necessarily the correct ones or that we didn't know about. And so some of the things we've done, like the people thinking they've got twice a week pickup when they don't. I mean, we put out, the list we had 3,800 plus or minus customers on it, and we've put out over 4,500 garbage cans. So that difference has been folks who weren't paying for service, or a lot of reasons for that difference. But I think we're continuing to work through some of the issues. I know my guys aren't picking up stuff that's not in a BCC can. It's got to be in a BCC can. If you need an extra can, we will provide them an extra can. Just little things about transitioning that we're going through that we continue to work through. And then the biggest curveball obviously being the transfer station, but we've got a really good plan for that now. Every day we're improving our process out there because it wasn't something that we were necessarily prepared for. But the last couple of days has gone pretty smooth. Yesterday went very smooth, and we're receiving the volumes that we were receiving before the transfer station was demoed. and we were still able to keep up yesterday. We've got a dedicated roll-off truck here and driver that's working just those cans now every single day. We're direct hauling the MSW to the transfer, or to the incinerator. That's what we'll have to do until the station's rebuilt.
All right, any
Questions?
questions?
Let me say this, Michael, Jason, they have thrown everything possible at Jason to make him fail. And he's hung in there, and I tell you, I commend him for that, because the last 2 weeks has been tough, and they didn't make the transition easy at all. And I think once all these bumps in the road are smoothed down, I think he's gonna do a great job. I just wanted to say that. So,
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
I also echo what he said, you know, a good example, my neighbor had 2 cans. They come and picked up one of them and left the other one. So, you know, you run into that kind of stuff, you know, and staff's been working good. They've got a good contact number with you now. So if people's got a problem, you know, I've had them call me, please keep calling. We will work it out. It's going a lot better, and it's getting better every day. So appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Jason, I told Michael this morning that I'd ride around yesterday and even this morning, I saw a couple of extra Waste Pro cans still on the side of the road that had to be, I guess, removed. Y'all got a plan to remove the rest of them? And dump them because they're full of trash?
What we need to do is finish our roundup. We did 314 or 317, I can't remember, at the Cape Indian Pass in St. Joe Beach a couple weeks ago. And we had a county crew following the garbage truck. They would dump them, and we would pick up the can and take it to the Waste Pro yard at the city yard on Industrial Road. We need to just finish that from Overstreet north. The vast concentration was in the tourist corridor, specifically the Cape. But yes, I have seen cans in Honeyville, I've seen cans in White City, I know there's some in Overstreet. So we just need to make that pass. So we probably just need to advertise it, give it a week or so, and let them know that we're gonna come by and pick them up one day next week. Because again, we can only get it if the can's out by the road. So if you have the Waste Pro can, they'll dump it, and then we'll pick it up. We did a special day for doing that, an all-day deal. And, yeah, that's unfortunate that the county's having to do that, but we'll continue doing that and make the full loop. I'll let Mark coordinate with you on that, if that's good.
All right, Mr. McDaniel, you got something?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say, in the north end of the county, especially in the district I represent, is very large land-wise. But my calls have really start with, I was having calls. Biggest thing was, they didn't know, they thought you picked up on a Thursday, and really it was a Tuesday pickup, and I think everybody's kind of got educated that, but my calls have really dropped off. They surely have. But there's a lot of cans up in the unincorporated area of the north end of the county. I guess we picked them cans up and carried them to the city up there, or whatever you want to do with them. It don't matter, Mark, whatever y'all's decision, I'm fine with.
Agreed
But,
with them.
but they have. My calls have really dropped off, and I get a lot of calls. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, anything else from Mr. Jason?
Now you're batting 1,000 at my house. I appreciate it.
We got the donkey for you, too.
All right, thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right, Sam? Anything else?
Couple more things, Mr. Chairman. And Mark may want to mention something on this. He's been negotiating with someone who's approached us about buying the chips at the landfill. And maybe he can just give a quick update on that.
I had a good conversation with a fellow that was interested in coming in and buying the entire lot. So he would bring about $1 million worth of equipment in, sift through, leave the dirt for us. He would take the clean chips and haul them away and pay us some fee for them. We have not come up with a fee per yard or whatever we're gonna do with that yet. But just for information that I am negotiating with somebody about potential of coming and taking all the chips. Probably, I don't know if Hammer wants to do it right now, go ahead and get a motion that we can negotiate some kind of a deal with this fella if he does come back and he's real serious about it. But the way he talked, that this whole thing would happen within the month, if he was gonna do it.
That'd be my recommendation, allow us to negotiate.
All right, I
So
entertain a motion.
move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rogers,
Second.
second by Commissioner McCrone. Any further board discussion on this?
Yeah, one,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, please, thank you. Mark is local or out of county, out of state,
I wanna say the fellow was from Georgia.
Georgia?
He was gonna bring in some kind of machine that would, like a couple of excavators, a loader, and like 6 of those walking forward trucks and sift through them, like load them into the sifter.
Yeah, okay.
Strain them out and haul them off. for some
Probably
kind of-
going to a nursery or somewhere like that, wherever they use
Use
it.
some kind of fuel, I think.
Okay. All right, so, thank you, I yield back.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
I know the city at one time had a guy, and he was from Florida, but he went down there where they do their yard debris disposal, and he chipped it all, and that's what he done with his, was sold it for fuel chips.
I think boiler fuel, I think is what he had mentioned, something
yeah.
like that.
All right, anybody else? Any question? All right.
Be
Any-
positive.
Yeah. Anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to that motion? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we closed on the golf course on Monday and started operations yesterday. I think Kelly's got a recommendation on a management system. Our Golf Pro will be starting the 1st of August. And in the meantime, we're running the show for the next couple of weeks. And they've run all this through him, and they've got a recommendation, I believe.
Okay, all right.
Yes, good morning,
morning.
Commissioners. Chrissy has been doing a fantastic job out there in this transition and has just been getting everything switched over, working on some staff issues, and has just been doing a really good job. She's also been working with the pro that's coming, like Michael said, and his recommendation for the golf software system is called the Jonas system. It'll have tee times and everything that the club needs in order to do what we need it to do out there. I just wanted to give you some figures and make sure that we would be able to get this going before the next county commission meeting. The first time fee is under the bid limit at $6,000, and then we'll have an annual fee that will come after that. So the two fees together may be still within the quote limit, but I just wanted to make sure that we're all good to move forward on that as soon as possible.
Good with that? All right, I heard that it was a pretty nice crowd out there yesterday.
They were packed yesterday.
It
It
was
was wonderful.
packed, no parking spots.
They had
Wow.
to turn a bunch of folks away because we're closed on Mondays. Hopefully in the future, when we get everything up and running, that we won't have to be closed on Mondays. But there's a lot of people in Gulf County this week. And so they had a great sales day yesterday, and now they just need some folks to work on the weekend.
Yes.
That's what.
We're hiring.
Yes, I think it's a good thing for Gulf County. Like I said, if that thing would've closed, man, yeah. So I think it's good for the, not only, I mean, it's good for the locals, but it's actually also good for the people that's coming here also. All right, we need a motion. We need a motion, Mr. Novak. All right, I entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rich,
Second. Go ahead.
second by Commissioner Rogers. Any further board discussion on this? Anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, ma'am.
Just to follow up, I think you all know this, but just for the public's information, Kim Bodine has stepped up to the plate. Warren has been working with her, and all of the employees, all but one, is being covered under their grant program, which saves the county a tremendous amount of money. And so they've been easy to work with, but we are having problems. They can't hire folks that had full-time jobs in other places. So we had quite a number of employees, the country club had quite a number of employees that just work part-time, that were not eligible for that program. So I may have to hire some part-time folks that we have to pay specifically weekend to run and to work in the restaurant and bar until we finish with this transition. So for the next couple of weeks, it just a heads up, but just the payroll savings for us on a yearly basis would be $200,000 that Kim was able to help us with by taking that over. So if you see Kim, tell her thank you.
You say part-time, how long how long do you think?
Well, we're out, actually, yesterday, the bids went out for a manager to run the restaurant and bar. I mean, we don't want to be in the restaurant and bar business long-term. Our pro is going to run all the golf activities and the pool and the tennis courts and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to lease out the restaurant and bar portion. So my guess is that we'll run it for probably another 6 weeks.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so if they're interested, they need to contact Kelly at the TDC.
All right.
Reminder, our budget meeting is July the 22nd at 9 o'clock. The last thing I have, we are out for bids for internet and phone service. We're changing, our 3-year contract is up. It's up, I believe, August 1st. We may need permission to do a short-term extension. We are scheduled to take bids on you to make a recommendation to change over July the 23rd meeting. We may not have enough time to do that, so we may need to do a short-term extension. Just need to get permission from the board to extend that if needed for a short term.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion by Commissioner Rich,
Second.
second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any further board discussion on short-term extension? All right, anyone in the public on this? Anyone in the public? All right, any opposition to the motion? Motion passes 5-0.
I think Vince is back if he wanted to say something
Yeah,
about the
Chief,
fire department.
Vance, you want to? Come on. Yeah.
Vince Bishop, Fire Chief, South Gulf County. I just want the county and the board to take in consideration the very, very dry conditions we have right now and the fact that we have lots and lots and lots of dead trees, especially on the coastal areas around there when issuing like fireworks sales permits and when you're considering burn bans. It's very dry out there. We've got about the same amount of rain that we had last burn ban. And we've got a lot of people shooting fireworks off out at the beach and we're actually pretty scared something's gonna happen out there.
I apologize. I wanted you to talk about the Jaws of Life and y'all doing the education. I'm sorry. You had stepped out when I brought it up, but if,
All right, well, that was the other thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, we've sent 4 of our guys through Jaws of Life training. It's very intense training on operating the Jaws of Life, and the South Gulf County Fire Department would like to take over primary for for South Gulf County, our district right now, and we'll be backup for the city.
and the board voted to allow y'all to do that, we'll notify dispatch with the sheriff's office. Y'all work well together. I think right now they have St. Joe Beach and St. Joe Fire Department run it for the south end of the county, and then WeWo Ambulance runs it for the north end, so that'll just be a lot quicker response for y'all
Yes,
running it
it
on
will
your
be.
end.
Yep.
And the board's approved that, so that was the main thing I wanted to
All
talk.
Thank you, Vance.
All right.
Thanks,
Y'all
sir.
can consider the other thing I said.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, that's all I have this morning.
All right. Y'all want to discuss that? All right. Do we want to discuss that? The burn ban?
It's just not on the agenda, but I allowed it to expire after we started getting measurable rain. So that, if the board wanted to do one in the future, I don't think we're to the point we need the burn ban again. The county instituted, it's being regulated through the state now. But, we'll just monitor it. If we go extended periods of time again without having measurable rainfall, we would need to do it. I don't think we've had any incidents recently. I think most people paid attention when we did the burn ban, when it was extremely dry, when we hadn't had any rain for about 6 weeks. But the woods are full of debris, and there are a lot of dead trees and whatnot. So if it were to get dry again, I would come to you and ask you to institute one.
Is there anybody else is there any other counties have a burn ban right now? I don't think so, do they?
Not around us right now that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
Okay.
And the state, as of last week, they were still issuing permits. Of course, you have to follow the rules, with those permits, but.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, a lot of the counties are kind of like us. We all got rain yesterday, almost to White City, but not quite, but yeah. The coastal areas are missing, but that'll come within the next week, I think.
All right. Any other commissioners got anything before we get out? All right. All right. Anyone in the public want to come up before we dismiss? Anyone in the public? All right. If not, I entertain a motion that we adjourn.